I am on here as always, asking, kind of spitballing ideas. And oh no, oh there we go. Okay, we're back. The whole screen went black there for a minute. You may have gotten an email or seen other posts. I kind of had this idea for a. I feel like I give so much emphasis in this group and on our website and everything for, and especially YouTube. So I will probably be putting this little video on YouTube, but I wanted to record it here because, I like YouTube. So I feel like I give so much emphasis to like the spinning community, and while learning to spin is definitely something we're all very excited about, and whether it's a drop spindle or a spinning wheel and whatever it is you're using, we're always in this group very excited to help people get going on that. I also just want to remember that like the whole way I even got into the fiber arts was that I had yarn. I discovered yarn, and I needed more of it in my life, and I'm not really sure even how to explain why I needed more yarn in my life. But I don't know. We'll just. I went to a yarn shop in college and immediately fell in love with the needles and the yarn and all the different textures and colors. And so I really learned to knit as. God, my silly lovebird in the other room. She's like wrestling with a little bell ball. I guess I should have shut the door, but she's like living her best life, so I'm gonna let her keep doing that. Poor little Violet, she's so silly. But I started knitting because I just needed a reason to have yarn. And I don't really have a good reason for why I started knitting versus crochet, except for my college roommate who I was at the yarn shop with. She knitted. I think she crocheted some, but she mainly knitted. So, since that was going to be my teacher, I was like, well, I'm going to knit then. So, that was how I got into the whole fiber arts world, was just literally picking it up as a hobby. And she taught me on, my really cheap acrylic yarn, on my really like cheap metal needles and everything I knitted, because I'm apparently a loose knitter. I feel like most people tell me they start out as like tight knitters when they start out knitting, and they can like barely get the needle through. I, on the other hand, was like the loosest knitter ever. So like it was a full body knitting experience. And so my metal knitting needles and my acrylic yarn were just like slime on each other. So it just kept getting bigger and bigger and looser and looser. And so one of my tips I always have for new knitters is, if you're learning to knit or crochet, because they've got hooks instead, but I feel like especially knitting, because you're trying to like hold it on two needles, is if you're a tight knitter, then like metal needles are going to be your friend, and acrylic yarn that's really like easily to slip will be great. And if you are a loose knitter like me, you might want to get some bamboo needles and maybe some like grippy wool yarn, because that definitely, just small tweaks like that really helped me a lot. And so I learned from my friend and my roommate in college. And I mean, we literally started, I feel like how most of us do, with a knit stitch. Well, first casting on, which, oh my goodness, casting on is like a whole thing in itself, which I always feel like is kind of unfair, because like casting on I feel like is one of the more challenging things to do, and then it's like the very first thing you have to do. So that's another kind of weird mind hurdle with knitting, is you have to, it's kind of like you have to do the harder thing first, and then it gets easier after that. So, that's the good news, is it goes up, it's easier from there. So I started out with casting on, and then just the knit stitch, and then she's like, okay, cool, this is a purl stitch. And so then you get stockinette versus garter stitch, and then she like blew my mind when we did a hat. So then we did knitting in the round for the first time, and I actually really love making hats, and it's sad because I haven't made one in a long time, so I need to go find myself a hat to make. I guess I've been making cowls. But anywho, where I'm going with this is, that's how I learned to knit, was very much like I happened to be in a point in my life where I had roommates, and that was probably the one thing I liked about having roommates, because I'm a very solitary creature otherwise. But I loved having people to watch Lord of the Rings reruns with, and eat mashed potatoes, and learn how to knit. So that was my favorite thing about having roommates. But other than that, I very much enjoy not having roommates. But I feel like if you don't happen to just randomly all the planets align, and you happen to be in a college situation, or maybe you live with a mom or a grandma or something, where you have that hands-on teaching of just kind of a launch pad into knowing what you're doing, I feel like that could be much more challenging. So like, I understand that I was fortunate on that, and it was definitely something that I picked up in college, got super into, and then, you know, graduating and careers and moving and life happened. And then I did keep knitting a little bit, but I honestly didn't pick it back up until a few years later, you know, after college, when we were in Washington and I needed help making friends, and I joined a knitting group that I found through Ravelry. So that's how I found my knitting group, and that was really how I made friends, and those friends introduced me to spinning, and, you know, the rest is history. So I have been very fortunate in my life that, you know, the stars all aligned and I had helpers along the way at all the places where I needed them. But I am aware that a lot of us don't have that, and a lot of us are at home, and I love learning stuff online. I'm a huge advocate for online education. Obviously, I have some little courses. I have taken other courses that have helped me with my business tremendously for like marketing and small business stuff that honestly, I mean, there's no way I would have gotten that information if I hadn't gotten it online. So I really love, that's something I'm passionate about, is content creation, whether it's stuff on here, like our fun group events, stuff on YouTube that's free. You know, my courses are little paid content that's on the website. I'm writing, I've made several little ebooks and patterns, and I am actually writing a larger book at the moment when I can. So that's something I'm really passionate about, is just content creation in general. I may be a fiber artist by trade, but I guess I am I'm a maker and a content creator, and I'd say like a curator and arts, you know, what am I trying to say here? Like, artist promotion is probably more what my role has become in this brand, whereas, you know, we have such a great team of fiber artists that are actually like making the things more so than myself. They are better at these certain skills than I am. So I really wanted to make this little launch pad, is what I'm calling it, and it's going to be for Knitter Crochet, and I will drop the link. The link is basically just like a little form on my website of like, hey, I might want more information on this, and then I think you can put like, check some boxes for like, I currently knit, I currently crochet, I'd like more information, or I've always been tripped up on this. It's going to be geared towards very like people dipping their toe in the fiber arts world, of giving them I have recorded just real basic, you know, cast on, start on crochet, knit stitch, you know, I've got basic things on there explained by me, because I feel like I'm good at explaining things to people in a way that they understand, because I'm also really good at messing things up. So I feel like that has been my gift to the world, is that I am excellent at being confused about things myself and then figuring it out. And then once I have been confused and then figured it out, then I'm like the perfect person to go get the other confused people and be like, I got you. This is the tricks. So while this is not anything that's like reinventing the wheel, and I'm not coming in here like I am, you know, the great master of knitting the things, I want it to be a base to stand on, an introduction, lots of kind of tips and hacks and tricks from my point of view, which is the best thing I have to offer you, as well as a resource of like, okay, I gave you the base, here's the resource of people who are more talented in those certain areas or skills than me. You can get more information from them here. So it's going to be something super small, super cheap, totally not a big deal, just something for fun. But this was something I started brainstorming, I don't know, at some weird, probably at like an inopportune moment while watching a movie I wasn't paying attention to or something, half a year ago. And then we got so busy with everything else, and like I said, a lot of spinner stuff, that it was very easy to just put it on the back burner. And I don't know, it came to me again that I really wanted to, it was bugging me. It was one of those things that just keeps being like, I want to finish that. So since it wasn't going to be that big of a deal anyway, I wanted to finish it. So I'm finishing it. I'm finishing the last videos. I'm going to link, like I said, it's just like it's called a waitlist page. So basically, I'm still finishing it, so if anybody, I am reading everybody's suggestions of like, hey, this is something I'm curious about, this is something I need help with, this was a pain point or is a pain point for me, that sort of thing, because, you know, if there's something that like so many people are like, I need help with this one thing, and I don't have that in there, like obviously I would want to know what that it was, so I can stick it in there. So I'm on here to see what that might be. And please, if you would like, click the button and give me your information, and it will definitely be taken into consideration. And if not, if you would like to know more about knitting or crocheting or getting started on that, if you are totally just, you know, experimenting phase here, please be excited. This is for you. It's going to be coming soon, and anyhow, I just wanted some input and to tell you about it. So, off to finish. I guess I gotta go quiet down the lovebird and finish some videos and probably get some more coffee. Have a good one.